research daily, searching the medical literature and talking about digestive health, gut permeability, better known as leaky gut, leading to all kinds of problems. Not only digestive problems such as ulcerative colitis, Crohn's disease, irritable bowel syndrome, but also autoimmune disease and neurological problems as well, whether that's ADHD, things like bipolar disorder, rheumatoid arthritis, ankylosing spondylitis, on and on, diabetes, even cardiovascular disease, metabolic syndrome. We're starting to find out that that is starting in the gut with digestive health, specifically leaky gut, and I'll talk more about that in the testing. But that's why testing, functional lab testing, is so important, because it's showing us what is going on functionally within the digestive tract. So one of the tests that we'll run, it'll show us your levels of good bacteria. We know about lactobacillus and bifidobacteria that are in our probiotics. The question is, do you need them? Do you need more? This test will show us those levels. Along with the bad bacteria, is there any bad bacteria in there? Viruses, parasites, fungi, or yeast? And do they outnumber the good bacteria? Because that's where problems start, is when the bad guys outnumber the good guys in our gut. That's what leads to the breakdown of that gut lining and causes leaky gut. That in turn can stimulate the immune system, and that can attack any organ in the body. Also H. pylori, which can lead to ulcers and heartburn, and this will show us if H. pylori is a problem because it has the virulence factors along with it, if they're present as well. Also, if somebody is sensitive to gluten, somebody might be sensitive to gluten but not have celiac disease. A lot of people are tested for celiac disease and they're negative, but they might be sensitive to gluten. And gluten sensitivity, that can lead to a breakdown of the gut lining. That can lead to the leaky gut. That can lead to autoimmunity and neurological problems as well, such as anxiety and depression. It'll show us how about your digestive function. So if you need pancreatic enzyme support, it'll show us levels of inflammation that might be breaking down that gut lining. And here's a picture depicting that. This is what a healthy gut lining looks like. Those are epithelial cells. It's only one cell layer thick that separates the lumen, the foods we eat, the bad, the good bacteria, the toxins that they secrete, and our bloodstream, and a large portion of our immune system. You can see right underneath that gut lining. So to the right here, that depicts a leaky gut. The irritation, the inflammation that she talked about, this is what can happen right here. It can cause breaks in the tight junctions of that gut lining. And again, undigested food particles, certain bacteria, their endotoxins such as LPS, I'll talk more about that in a little bit, one of the lab markers. But what they can do is they can penetrate that gut lining, again, stimulating the immune system that lies right under there, and that can lead to a lot of things, even crossing the blood-brain barrier. That's why we get the neurological issues, anxiety, depression, autoimmunity, can attack the thyroid, the adrenal glands, the pancreas, leading to things such as type 1 diabetes, again, rheumatoid arthritis in the joints, ankylosing spondylitis in the spine, ribs, the hips and ribs, and even causing malabsorption because we're destroying those cells lying in the gut, are absorptive cells right there. So a lot of problems with leaky gut. And a lot of the botanicals she talked about, those demulcents, such as slippery elm, licorice, marshmallow, we will utilize those botanicals if someone has lab markers indicating leaky gut. That is when those demulcent botanicals are very indicated because they help heal that gut lining. So they're very, very powerful for that. The medical literature is full of research talking about gut permeability and leaky gut. Every single day I read a new article in the medical literature talking about gut permeability, better known as intestinal permeability and leaky gut, and the problems that it leads to. This one right here, intestinal permeability, a new target for disease prevention and therapy. So not only can we treat leaky gut and help with a lot of conditions already there, we can prevent a lot of conditions. Here's another research article, the gut microbiota and type 1 diabetes. And you can see right here, gut permeability and type 1 diabetes induction. So it all starts with that gut bacteria. Do we have mainly good bacteria, or do we mainly have bad bacteria? If we have good bacteria, that's going to keep those tight junctions and those cells intact. If we mainly have bad bacteria on that epithelial cell layer, that is what's going to break down that gut lining and lead to leaky gut, and leading to things such as type 1 diabetes and different autoimmune disease. And here's another picture depicting that gut permeability. And I have this on here because this is a good picture that shows the cells lining the gut and the immune system lying right underneath it. And that's why we get the problem. Once we get a breach of that barrier and undigested food particles, pathogenic bacteria, and their endotoxins such as LPS penetrate that barrier, they're going to stimulate the immune system. And you can see things down here such as tumor necrosis factor alpha. And for a lot of your autoimmune diseases, especially something like ankylosing spondylitis, they'll have TNF-alpha inhibitors. The problem is when you have something that suppresses the immune system, that can lead to a lot of side effects, a lot of problems with just suppressing the immune system harshly. The thing is we're only doing it here. Again, we're just suppressing symptoms. We're targeting the TNF-alpha at this level, when the problem, a lot of the times, is at the level of the gut and a leaky gut. So we need to heal the leaky gut. And again, that's what differentiates our medicine from mainstream medicine. Instead of going at this level and suppressing symptoms, we want to get to the source. We want to correct the cause of the problem without the harsh side effects. So here's a test. I was talking about the markers that will show us if there's leaky gut or not. This one is very, very good at that. Intestinal antigenic permeability screen. So it's going to test these antibodies to actomycin and occludin and zonulin. Actomycin, occludin, and zonulin are so important because that's what holds those cells together. They are the tight junctions that keep that epithelial layer intact to prevent leaky gut. But if we have elevated antibodies to those tight junctions, that shows us when those markers are elevated, when those antibodies are elevated, that we have leaky gut. And then at the bottom down here, that's lipopolysaccharide, LPS. That is what's secreted, that's an endotoxin secreted by gram-negative bacteria. And if they get into the bloodstream, if there's antibodies elevated to LPS, we know we have leaky gut and we need to intervene. Here's a great picture showing that as well, especially the tight junctions. Again, here's our epithelial barrier of the gut lining. And between each of those cells in our gut, that's the tight junctions. Okay, here's the actomycin, the zonulin, the occludin. They're what keep those cells together and tight. So we do not, again, have the penetration of that barrier of undigested food particles, of LPS, other endotoxins and pathogenic bacteria that, again, will stimulate the immune system and lead to that autoimmunity or certain neurological conditions. So if it is present, again, we can use that botanical medicine that she was talking about to heal that gut lining.